Are you spending thousands of dollars on marketing? I mean, you're putting in the time and attention and the effort for social media ads, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or you're doing Google ads or any other form of advertisement, but you're not seeing a strong return on investment. Or maybe you are seeing a return on investment, but that investment is sporadic and your profit margins are not equating to the amount of money that you're spending on ads. What if I told you that there's a difference between general implementation done for you marketing versus growth marketing? There's a strong difference between the two, and it's the difference between why you may or may not be making the return on investment that you are hoping for sustainable and predictable growth. If that's something you're looking for and to get a better handle on, this episode is for you. So get ready to take great notes. Let's get into it. What's up, leader? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show, the dopest podcast on the planet that explores the world of Christian entrepreneurship and reveals secrets to unlocking your unique codes to create generational wealth. I'm your host, LaDondra Hervey, wife, mom, award-winning author, and Christian business coach who's excited to take you on a transformational journey of taking bold steps to unlock your unique gifts and pursue your entrepreneurial dreams with unwavering faith. Buckle up. It's time to make your dreams of creating generational wealth a reality. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Gifted Entrepreneur Show. It's been a minute. And I'm super excited to be digging into this week's episode as we take things deeper. And y'all, I just want to let you know that there's been some phenomenal things happening behind the scenes. There's been a reason for my absence. We have just did the pre-launch for the Texas Christian Chamber of Commerce, which is a regional chamber that will be available to help you in growing, scaling your business alongside of other high achieving Christian entrepreneurs. And we've just gotten some phenomenal response and data around building out a chamber experience that you would be able to really benefit from and scale from. And I'll probably be chatting a little bit more about that, but I just kind of wanted to give you a gist of what's been going on behind the scenes. And what did that have to do with me? Well, guess what? I am the president who is spearheading that alongside of co-president Jay Brown Flynn. And we just have some amazing things in store for you. Really want to create a comprehensive kingdom experience to really not only, like I say, grow and scale your business, but to create a place where you feel like you belong. You don't have to compromise your faith or your values to, or the ability to, or desire to want to make great money, be for the fact of feeling like you're going to get counseled by other Christian entrepreneurs. But that's something for a whole nother episode. Today, as we are unlocking the codes to creating that generational wealth, that we're going to be tapping into just some of the quite a few of the facets of the codes. The codes: C is all about monetizing your creativity. O is all on those operations. The D is cultivating a dominion mindset. E is all about time expansion, and the S is about scaling. We are going to talk a little bit more lean more on the side of scaling, even though this topic on growth consulting versus marketing agencies and really figuring out what's the missing link to scaling your business. It can go be a through product of all of those codes, but really, if you are trying to grow and scale your business, then it's so important to understand the difference between growth consulting and marketing agencies. And I will tell you that for many years, I really didn't know the difference. And I'll even take that further. I didn't know the difference between business coaching, growth consulting, and just a done for you marketing agency. And there is a very huge distinction between the three. And a lot of times, people, when you reach out to them in different companies, especially those who are at that seven figure mark, which the clients that I work with, they feel like, oh well, I have a marketing agency that I'm working with. And then if you go and you dig a little bit deeper and you ask some questions, maybe questions like, well, how's that going for you? You'll find that a lot of them will say, hey, well, I've been running ads, or we've been doing certain advertisement on social media. However, we're not really seeing a huge return on investment, although the video content is amazing. I have an amazing social media manager, they'll say, and my social media manager is putting out some great content. And then you have to think about, okay, so what is that content doing for you? How is that content working for you? Is it creating predictable income? Do you have a growth strategy that is helping you to not only grow but scale your business where you're not having to be in the business at all times? And so in today's episode, I really want to break down a few things. I want to help to break down what is the difference between growth consulting and done for you and a done for you marketing agency, and how they can work together to drive sustainable growth. And then I want to also share just some real life case studies with you and showing you your business may be leaving money on the table, and some ideas as far as a business growth audit and what it is and how it reveals hidden revenue opportunities and the biggest myths and objections that business owners have. Y'all, that's a lot to get into. So I hope that you're really looking forward to this episode and the content that we are putting out. However, I want to take a quick moment for you and just say, hey, if you are in this place and you're like, hey, I don't know what the next best step for me to take my business to the next level. Well, if that's you and you're at that seven figure mark, or even if you're at that almost, you're just right there about to touch that seven figure mark and eight figure business, then let's schedule a call and let's do a growth audit and let's see where are those hidden revenue opportunities. This is a complimentary call, but it is by application, because I really want to help those entrepreneurs who have achieved a level of success but maybe have plateaued in a way that it's like, okay, I just don't know what to do. I feel like I'm taking the right steps. However, I'm just not seeing a huge return on investment. So, and again, if that's you, no shame, because you have to try on some things, and what you've done up to this point, it has made you have the successful company that you have right now today. But what got you to one level, it just won't take you to the next level. And so maybe things like done for you marketing, it got you to the level of seven figures, but to really grow and scale past that and increase your metrics for your revenue to be more profit, then you want to shift your strategy into really having that growth strategy that is going to create that sustainable and consistent income and really increase your profit margins without you being the bottleneck of the business, and even without you having to hire on more team members. Because a lot of times we think, okay, it's about hiring more team members, or it's about running more ads, and so we just keep on just guessing and just throwing spaghetti at the wall and really not getting strategic to really figure out what is that thing that is working for my business, or what do I need to do, what shifts do I need to make. So if that's you, let's schedule a call. In the description of this podcast, you will see growth strategy call, and we'll be able to put into play. We'll do a 45-minute call, complimentary call, and I'll follow up with you on a implementation plan on what are my recommendations. And again, that is by application. So and you will have to be at that seven figure level, or touching it right there, touching it. So let's get into this. So what is a growth consultant? A growth consultant, what they focus on is optimizing your entire business, not just marketing. And we'll get more into that in just a moment. I just want to lay out some of the definitions, the difference between a growth consultant and a done for you marketing agency. So a growth consultant, like I said, they optimize your entire, not just piece of it, but your entire business, not just your marketing. They focus on strategy, conversion, retention, pricing, and operations. They also help businesses eliminate wasted marketing spend and increase your profitability, which, that is something super important, because again, you don't want to just be putting money out consistently. An example of this is a company spending $5,000 a month on ads, but failing to convert those leads properly by having the proper infrastructure and assets that's really going to help that company to convert at a higher level. And so the next thing is, what is done for you marketing? What is a done for you marketing agency? So done for you marketing agencies execute marketing campaigns such as ads. They do SEO, social media, and that social media can be social media management, social media content creation, the videos, so on and so forth. They can also do a combination of all these things. They're great at bringing in traffic, but the thing with it is that who ensures that the traffic turns into revenue. And so that really gives a difference right there in growth consulting and a marketing agency. So marketing agency, they're great at bringing in the traffic, but then on the back end or the front end, whatever the case is, or even in the parts of the retention, who ensures that traffic turns into revenue. And so examples of this is a dental practice had a great marketing agency that was driving leads, but the front desk staff wasn't converting them. A growth consultant fixed that, and the revenue jumped by 30%. Imagine what 30% of jump in revenue could do for your business. So although you may be running great ads, you may be losing those leads on the back end. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that you have a growth consultant who is spearheading your strategy to make sure that you are reaching your growth goals. So what is something that you can do is you can do what's called a growth audit. And a growth audit, it determines where you're leaving money on the table. So it takes a deep dive into your business to find inefficiencies and revenue leaks. And so you may be thinking, okay, because a lot of times as business owners, especially this high achieving business owners, they are drivers. We are challengers, high achieving, and we are very visionary. And at that point where it's just like, go forward, and what's the next best idea that is going to get us to the next level. But what happens is that when you have the gift of visionary and driving with, and you don't take that time to put in the correct marketing infrastructure that and assets to really scale your business, then you find that you have a lot of revenue leaks on the inside of your business that you're dumping. It's like almost dumping money. It's not almost, but it's dumping money into a bucket filled with holes. And so it's dumping. I said dumping money. Well, it is dumping money, but it's dumping water into a bucket filled with holes. And so, as fast as the money is going in, as fast as the money is going out, and it just depends on how big the hole is. If you would, and just kind of envision that example with me, the holes can be really big. And you could be just dropping, like we say, 50,000, 100K a month and ads, $20,000 in ads. And if on the back end, or the even when we think about it, just even we're going to say through the customer journey, you are losing money, then that can be a big hole that needs to be fixed. It could be a smaller hole, but we know that when you, as a growth consultant, one thing that I know is that small changes makes a huge difference in your marketing. And so it doesn't even have to be this super huge hole that you can easily identify. Sometimes it's about going and looking at the data to see where are the inefficiencies. And when you can make some small adjustments that seem seemingly small, those small adjustments can give you that revenue boost in your company, as we talked about with the former case study with the dental practice, and how with growth consultant when they fixed those revenue leaks, then the revenue jumped to 30% increase. And again, that's without even hiring other staff. And so it's about a strategic process and really evaluating. So when you're doing a growth audit, it's about evaluating those lead conversions and marketing return on investments, your full sales processes. It's not just looking at, okay, in this. So one thing that a done for you agency does is they just really focus on what is one thing that we can do to just drive traffic, and it's just more so on the driving of the traffic. But when you look at the entire sales process, then you find out again that there's some revenue leaks there, or there's when you look at the entire lead conversion thing of it, or if you're even looking at the retention. So you may be great at getting clients in, but then how well are you keeping those clients? And then how well are those clients turning into raving fans, or they're referring others? And there could be some things on the in your marketing system that you can adjust to really drive even more revenue there, so you're not having to put out more dollars on ad spend. You're really just using what's already in your hand to create a multiplication effect. Your pricing strategy, is that on point? And then when we do a growth audit, we also are able to see what are the operational inefficiencies that are happening in your business. And so an example of this is a service-based business discovered 40% of its leads weren't being followed up on. Imagine 40% of your leads, 40% of your leads are not being followed up. How much money are you leaving on the table? And a lot of times people like to say, well, we followed up with our leads. We did once or twice, but statistically, study shows that you have to follow up with your leads at least 5 times. And really to be even more effective, it's 8 to 12. However, most people have already fallen off by the first or the second. And this doesn't mean that you have to put more time in. This means that you need assets that are working for you to be able to effectively follow up, nurture those leads into becoming a paid customer. Another example on this is implementing automated follow-ups that can increase your revenue by 35%. no new marketing spend, just fixing existing leaks. So these are just some things right here. So let me back that up. So the example is the service a service business discovered 40% of their leads wasn't being followed up on, so they implemented an automated follow-ups, and it increased the revenue by 35%. That's no new marketing spend, just fixing existing revenue leaks. So let's look at this. So if you are a seven-figure business owner and you're like, okay, like we're trying to increase our revenue here, then let's say, okay, we increase that marketing by 35%. Let's look at the math on that. That is $350,000 of new revenue in your business. $350,000 of new revenue. Now that may no, there's no new marketing spend. It's just fixing the existing leaks. How powerful is that? So the question you ask yourself as a business owner is, how many leads are slipping through the cracks because your team isn't following up properly? This is something that you want to be honest with yourself and really just ask the questions. And if you could increase revenue by 20 to 40% just by optimizing your existing processes, what would you do? You know, what would it do for you and what would you do? So these are just great questions to get you to thinking. So in this next part of this episode, I want to talk about how growth consulting and done for you marketing agencies work great together. So again, as I said in the introduction, a lot of times when I'm working with the seven-figure business owners, they're like, yeah, I already got a marketing agency, and the response that I have for them is, that is fantastic. And I mean that. That is fantastic to already have a marketing agency that you are partnering with that is helping. That's a healthy sign of growth. However, the question becomes, like, who is spearheading that overall growth strategy? Because whereas a done for you marketing agency, they really focus on the implementation of things, then where the growth strategist is looking at the overall sales and marketing process and fixing and adjusting those marketing inefficiencies or that are leading to revenue leaks. And so growth consultants don't replace marketing agencies, they actually enhance them. So when you're thinking about, like, well, you know, is this a wise use of my dollars? Then think about some of the questions that I asked, and then see how those questions apply to yourself, and say, you know, with this, how can working with a growth consultant enhance what we already are doing? So an example of this is a multi-location business had an agency running ads but was struggling with inconsistent branding and customer retention. And so a growth consultant, what they did is come through, what we did there is it come through, and this is just a case study here. A growth consultant aligned the messaging and optimized their retention system and improved conversion rates. Now the same marketing budget drives 50% more revenue. This we see time after time and time again. Listen, no shame to no strategy, because all we need all forms of advertisement, marketing, and all of that. However, a lot of times we think just throw more money into an existing problem, and it's like, well, what if we slow down and strategically looked at what already exists and see where do we need to make some adjustments? And is that adjustment and aligning, is it just about getting more clear on the messaging? Again, as I said in the beginning, what got you where you are as a seven-figure business, it is not necessarily where it's going to take you where you're going when you're scaling. So the messaging that you may have been using to get you to seven figures, it may be messaging that is to a low end market that is not what's going to take you to the next level of growing and scaling. Or it could be that needs to be some adjustments in the messaging. So maybe you're touching the market, but you need to grab more of your ideal clients. And so it may be that, okay, well, then we need to make some pivots in the messaging side of it, or optimizing again that retention system. How are you? What is your, so if you have a membership, what is the churn rate on that? How many times are people dropping off? What is the growth rate on that? So when we think about the growth rate, how many people are coming in versus the people who are dropping off? How much is it costing you to acquire a new customer? And is there some adjustments that need to happen there? Or like, is there a referral system set up? There's so many things. And so we could think about, when we think about like a done for you marketing agency, they're not necessarily equipped or trained to go that deep. They're trained to more so drive traffic, and that is a great thing. That's why it makes it a wonderful partnership. However, when you bring in that growth consultant to look at the overall sales process, now you have the strategy for your done for you marketing agency can implement, and then it enhances what you already have, and then creates that 20, 30, 40, 50. It just depends. Those returns on investments and revenue leaps can be crazy, like crazy good. And it's just like, what just happened? We did not have to work harder, but instead we worked more intentional. And that's where we want to get you at. And so a powerful question that you can ask yourself is your marketing agency focused on lead generation, or are they ensuring those leads turn into lifelong customers? That is a great question to ask, because in the same example that I gave, the growth consultant, they align the messaging, optimize their retention system, and improve the conversion rates. Now the same marketing budget drives 50% more revenue. So when you really think about this, you want to make sure that you're looking at the overall picture. So let's get into a few of the common myths and some strong questions to ask as we are, when you're doing and going through some of these type of things here. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. So when you think about, well, I already have a marketing agency that I'm working with, again, you want to think about, well, who's overseeing your entire growth strategy? And as the CEO, are you because a lot of times as a CEO, you want to think, well, I'm doing it. Well, how effective are you doing that? Do you truly have strong key performance indicators that can justify everything that's going in and out, and you're able to say, okay, so in this 90-day time frame, this and this happened, and this was our customer acquisition. This was how this campaign performed. Here's where our retention rates are. Here's whatever the focus is. And a lot of times, as visionary CEOs, it's hard to manage the business and be great at what you do as a dentist, as a med spa owner, as that amazing plumbing a company that you are, whatever you do, a legal. It doesn't matter. You didn't get into business to be a marketing expert. You got into the business to be great at the skill that you do, the profession that you do, and serving others. And that's what makes you great in staying in your gift zone, or as some books say, your zone of genius. And that's where you want to stay. And you want to partner with someone who is that growth partner that can help to strategize that strategy for you and your team, including the marketing agency that you're working with. And so that you are making sure that everything is optimized for long-term customer retention, and that there are no revenue leaks. Another thing is that we as business owners, you can get to a point and you're like, well, my internal team can handle this. And where your internal team is a phenomenal asset, what we find is that a lot of team members, they're not necessarily trained in really the on the marketing side of it. They're trained on the support side of it, or they're doing the best that they know how. Third, it could be that they are amazing at sales but not necessarily a great at marketing, and there's a disconnection between your sales team and your marketing team. And so what I mean by that is, like, you may have someone who's doing a great job on the marketing side of it and bringing in leads. However, when it comes down to the person on the sales side, the conversions are not going that good. And so then you're losing that lead. Or it could be vice versa. Someone is great at the sales part of it, but they're not getting enough leads coming in. And so you're frustrated, like, well, why aren't you doing your job? Well, if they're not getting enough leads to make the sales, then it sets them up for an ineffective system that they really can't implement. The third myth is that growth consulting may be too expensive. And when we think about that, you want to really think about, what is it costing you for not getting the help and the support that you need? How much are you spending and there's a difference between spending and then investing. So how much are you spending and not seeing a return on investment for your efforts that you're putting out? Are you, like, is this costing you, and is it taking down the like, are you having to, like, plug up the leaks? It's like almost like the vision that comes to my mind, you're duct taping one side of the business to make the other side of it work, but then when you look at it all feels like it's kind of breaking. And so if you fix some parts of it, then it's small hinges open up big doors. So if you make small refinements and allowing a growth consultant to come in, what you find is then you make revenue leaps. Instead of it being that you are losing money, you end up making quantum leaps over and over again, because now you have the marketing system that you need to consistently see growth time and time again without you being the bottleneck in your business. So you want to ask yourself, if you could unlock an additional 100,000, 500K in revenue in your business, would that be worth a conversation? I think so. But you have to decide, what is the cost that it is costing you and your company personally, and is that worth the investment? So here's some actionable takeaways for you. If you have a marketing agency, just ask yourself these three questions. Are they focused on the full customer journey and retention, or just lead generation? Are they tracking where money is leaking in your sales and marketing process? And lastly, do you have a growth strategy that goes beyond just running ads? So as you ask yourself those questions, then depending on your answer, because you have to be true with your own answer, depending with your answer, then this may be an opportune time for you to book a growth audit to identify your areas where you're leaving money on the table. And that's something you and we can do. Because most businesses don't need to spend more on marketing. They need to optimize what they already have in place. So if today's episode made you think differently about your business, I want you to do two things. One, share it with another business owner that you feel that could truly benefit from this. You've seen them personally stressing out, trying to make it all work, duct taping things, running ads, doing content creation, they have an ad manager, they are doing advertisement, they're doing all the things, but yet it seems like the more that they do, the more that they're losing money on the back end. Then please share this with them. If you find yourself in that situation, let's talk. Let's go ahead and apply for a growth audit call. Once you go through the processes, you click the button that's in the description, It's going to take you to get on my directly on my calendar. It's going to ask you just a few simple questions that you need to answer honestly. And once you do that, I will personally evaluate those. And if it's a fit, then we will move forward to phase two. Schedule that call, and you will get 45-minute call with me doing a complimentary call, doing your business audit and helping you to identify those revenue leaks. And as we are looking into those revenue leaks, then what we will do next is then I will follow up with you with a also some of my recommendations, which just my clients absolutely love our time together, and they get so much value out of it. And so those are ways that we can connect, and you can take things to the next level and see like where are the hidden revenue leaks in your business. I pray that today's episode was a blessing to you, and that it really does help you to take that next level leap in your business as you are cracking the codes to creating generational wealth. Until next time, continue to be blessed by the best.
Did that episode feel juicy or what? If so, please do me a favor and take 30 seconds to write a review. Your review helps us to spread the mission of creating generational wealth around the world. And if you tag me on IG stories, I'll be sure to reshare the love. And don't forget to join our Kingdom Collaborators Network, where we're coming together to intentionally collaborate to grow our business. Until next time, remember, for with Christ, nothing is impossible.